They drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but three first names. David Scott Kelly.
It is almost Friday night, and we are coming to you live from right under the Push Ridge Mountain. Second time we've been up here to Oro Valley this year. We were across the street a few weeks ago at Canyon Del Oro High School, the defending Conference 4A state champions, and now we are closer to the mountain. Push Ridge Christian Academy, home of the Lions, home to one of the best Conference 3A teams in the state of Arizona. We are looking forward to bringing you our show here from today. It is almost Friday night. Push Ridge Christian Academy going to welcome in Safford for the season finale this evening here. It is senior night up here next to the mountain. Looking forward to talking to a number of the Push Ridge Christian Academy athletes who are really just performing at a high level in a number of sports. You look back to last spring and some of the state championships that this school was able to win last year, and volleyball is having an awesome season up here to go along with football, and they've had some talented young ladies that have been on the cross-country side, as well as they recently won their sectional meet at Push Ridge Christian Academy. And Kent Middleton, once again, has a fantastic football team, and we're looking forward to talking to him and some of his guys as well. It does not get, I don't know, there's a lot of picturesque venues here in southern Arizona. I mentioned across the street we've got this same view from Canyon Del Oro, but we're probably about a quarter mile closer to the mountain. I mean, literally, this school, Push Ridge Christian Academy, sits at the base of the mountain, and there is no better view. I almost feel bad because they probably should move the home stands here to the other side of this stadium. They probably should repurpose this stadium, put the home stands on the west side so that their fans could look every game at this beautiful picturesque setting that they have here, because it is absolutely one of the best in southern Arizona, and they have put together a football program to match the view that you get here when you come up to Push Ridge Christian Academy on Friday night. They are going to be playing for a 3A South championship tonight as well, will the Lions, as they welcome in Safford. This has been perennially one of the best regions in all. I mean, top to bottom, pound for pound, as we like to say. This has been one of the best regions that you're going to find of any in high school football here in the state of Arizona. I mean, last year, this region was absolutely just loaded. Now, obviously, you had Sabino comes out of this region, and they were the state champions last year. And all 5 of the teams in this region made the postseason last year. Now, it's going to be different this year. Morenci is down. They're not quite as strong as they were. Sabino is obviously down. They're not going to make the postseason this year, 3-6. Safford, who comes in here tonight, is down. They are just 4-5 on the year. So it's going to be Push Ridge and Thatcher carrying the torch. And essentially, Push Ridge last week went to Thatcher and clinched at least a share of the title. They're 3-0 coming into this game. They play, obviously, I mentioned 5 teams, so they'll play just 4 region games in the 3A South, and this will be the last of those tonight. So even if Push Ridge were to lose tonight here to Safford and Thatcher were to win, Push Ridge would get a share of the title, and they would be the number 1 seed, or at least the de facto champion, the de facto top-ranked team coming out of the 3A South by virtue of their victory over Thatcher last weekend, and they went on the road and absolutely put a thumping on the Eagles by a score of 31-7 to kind of solidify what this team is all about here at Pusch Ridge Christian Academy. They come into tonight's game as the fourth-ranked team in Conference 3A. Benjamin Franklin up in Phoenix, they're number one. Thatcher, even though they lost to Pusch Ridge Christian Academy, is still the number 2 team, so we could potentially, somewhere down the road, get another matchup between those two teams in the playoffs. American Leadership Academy West Foothills is the number 3 team in Conference 3A, followed by Pusch Ridge, Mojave, Florence having a great season at 7-1, ALA Ironwood, River Valley, Payson, and Blue Ridge. Other teams that have a shot at making and getting into that top 16 and making the postseason in Conference 3A, you've got Round Valley, Paradise Honors, Wickenburg, Dysart, Gilbert Christian, and Sholo. So Safford right now on the outside looking in, they would almost have to win. They're number 20 right now. Safford would have to win and get some help to get in. They would have to probably see a bunch of teams above them lose tonight as well. But a win over the number 4 team could be what vaults Safford into that top 16 and a potential potential state tournament bid. So obviously they're coming in here tonight with a whole lot to play for against the Pusch Ridge Lions here this evening. We want to hear from you. High school football tonight, 520-848-1290. This is officially Week 11. The regular season for the 3A, 2A teams ends this week. We're already in the postseason for Conference 1A, and Desert Christian is going to be playing again. How about that school in their first year of competitive football? Desert Christian is on the road tonight at the defending champions, the Hayden Lobos. They're not too far. It's again, Hayden's only about 45 minutes from Tucson, up in closer to the mountains, so we kind of count them as a Southern Arizona team. They were the champions last year, and so Desert Christian, a tall task, but to get a postseason win in their first year, that is pretty incredible. St. David, the other Southern Arizona team in 1A, that's 8-man football. They'll be at home tonight against Mojave Accelerated in another quarterfinal game. So looking forward to seeing the quarterfinals tonight in Conference 1A, and then everything gets going for real in the postseason for 2A, 3A next week, and then 4A, 5A, 6A will be wrapping up their regular seasons next week as well. So still a whole lot of football, and we got a pretty relatively nice night. Temperatures expected to be in the low 70s to high 60s out here tonight for high school football at Pusch Ridge Christian Academy. I'm out here. J.W. Madden is back in studio. J.W., I know you're a small school guy. I don't know if you've ever been up to a game here, man, but it does not get much better than this setting here in Southern Arizona.
I had some buddies who went to CDO when I was at Greenfield, so yeah, I've definitely been up to that area. I don't know if I've ever been to a football game that Pusch Ridge was involved in. I could tell you this, though, that Desert Christian was one of our big rivals when I was in high school. So good to hear that they are having so much success in their first season.
Absolutely.
Speaking of small schools, that is.
For sure. For sure. We'll give you the entire schedule for tomorrow. I'm sorry, for tonight. All the games that are happening around Southern Arizona. We'll make sure we get you up to speed on everything that is happening. There are some really good games on the docket tonight, so we want to make sure that we get you out to have a chance to see some high school football on this Friday night as we inch closer to the postseason. In fact, I mentioned the ladies up here at Pusch Ridge Christian Academy, the volleyball team. They are having a tremendous season as well in Conference 3A. They are currently ranked 6th in Conference 3A. are the Lions behind Valley Christian, Gilbert Christian, Northwest Christian, and Monument Valley. We're getting closer to the tournaments for that as well. So looking forward to seeing those young ladies have a chance to get involved. That'll be next weekend. The playoffs for state playoffs for 3A girls volleyball will begin next week. I think they have a play-in round as well, which gets underway early in the week. But as of the moment, Push Ridge would not have to play their way in, as they'll likely be the 6th seed, and so they'll have a position in the first round. Now, all these games are out of area, unfortunately. They'll be playing up at Millennium for the first round, and they'll actually play doubleheaders, so it'll be they'll go up next Saturday, and play doubleheaders, round 1 and quarterfinals up at Millennium, and then the semifinals will be at Mountain Point High School. That will be on Tuesday, November the 12th, and then the state championships for Conference 3A in volleyball will be at the Arizona Veterans Memorial Coliseum, the longtime former home of the Phoenix Suns, and that will be the following Saturday, November the 16th. So that is what's in store for the Push Ridge Christian Academy ladies as well on the volleyball side. As I mentioned, they're having a phenomenal season on their part as well alongside football. 520-848-1290. We're going to talk some Arizona football coming up. The Wildcats have been in Central Florida for about a day now. They flew yesterday for the game tomorrow. Matt Michelle from the Orlando Sentinel is going to join us coming up here in about 8 to 10 minutes, and we'll talk to him about the Knights, or the Citronauts, as they are calling themselves this weekend, because it is the Space Game coming up in Central Florida. That's got nothing to do with the Space Force. Remember the Space Force?
Yes.
But I don't think they have football yet at Space Force Academy. I remember when that first was announced, we used to always talk about that. That would be cool. If you're going to have a Space Force, they've got to have a football team, and they've got to get in the mix with like Air Force and Army and Navy, and now you got 4 teams, four academy teams playing football. That would be so cool. But this is the Space Game, and guys, and I believe David Amata at Dragon Ball has joined us as he's on traffic today, sitting
Yes,
at
I am.
cricket.
I was going to ask if maybe you wanted Dragon Ball to brag on his Tigers, since we're talking high school football.
There you go. Yeah, he's a
Man,
Marana
they're-
guy too. I forgot. Yeah, we
Oof.
got a bunch of Maranas running around things. They are the thing about Marana is they're not only they're number 1 in 5A, they're number 1 right now in the Open Division. And so a lot of people are looking at that and saying, "Man, this might be the best team Marana's ever had." Can they survive in the Open Division? Are they better off being in Conference 5A and having a chance to win a state championship? It's much like we saw last year with Canyon del Oro, because CDO flirted with the Open Division, but eventually was relegated to 4A, and they were able to bring home the gold football. David, how do you feel about that?
I'm very excited. Again, it's a far cry from where it was when I went there at school. I was not able to watch a lot of great football games amongst my classmates, but I'm glad to see that the program is starting to really make that trend upwards. And if they have a little bit of difficulty with the Open Division, I mean, hey, they've shown that they can compete at a very high level. I'd say it's one of those situations where once you get into that bigger pond as a big fish, you got to find your way around the new environment. So if they struggle initially out the gate, I'm not going to be too disappointed, because they've certainly done a lot to go ahead and impress me up to this point.
I just
to say the
figured
least.
the deal with this year is they must have a memorial pin on their jerseys that's like, win one for the bleachers that we lost last year during the storm. Because they're definitely playing motivated, DK.
Win one for Dragon Ball's back window.
Right, yeah. Win one for the window that Dragon Ball lost during the big storm.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Win one for the window, for sure. All right, Dragon Ball is in for cricket, and he is going to tell you everything else that's happening around Southern Arizona this weekend, because it is, in fact, the weekend.
The weekend.
The weekend. Woo! Wait, we've got a. Come on, Dragon Ball. Give me a good woo. Woo! kind of like Ric Flair. Condolences to Ric Flair, though, on the passing of his son.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
horrible to hear. Unfortunate for him. But our thoughts and prayers are with the great Ric Flair. All right. Dragon Ball is going to tell you everything that's happening in Southern Arizona this weekend.
Well, you've got one more opportunity to go and see the Slaughterhouse. We've talked a lot about it during October there, DK. Slaughterhouse will go ahead and keep going until November the 2nd, so you got one more shot at it. You've also got the Park Place Street Art Festival, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. tomorrow at the Park Place Mall. It's going to be a very cool thing to go and see all the art there at the Park Place Mall. But one thing you're going to want to ask some of the groups of, if you've got any of the band kids out there, ask them if they're going to be a part of U of A Band Day at the University of Arizona Stadium tomorrow from 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. It's going to be a big showcase of all the high school bands in the Tucson and Southern Arizona area. They're going to compete, do marching and everything like that, go through Arizona Stadium. It's going to be a fun event. And like I said, it starts early. So you get to see almost every high school you can think of in the Southern Arizona area that's going to be there on hand for U of A Band Day.
Football games are competitive. Just wait till you go to Arizona Stadium and see all the bands compete against each other.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. All right. Well, Dragon Ball is going to rejoin us later in the show. He'll have more about what is happening in Southern Arizona coming up this weekend. Again, we are live out here at Pusch Ridge Christian Academy. It is almost Friday night, getting you set for high school football, the final week of the regular season for Conference 3A, and the Lions are welcoming in Safford, the Bulldogs, tonight. It's DK on the Sports Tip. Much more coming up straight ahead for you. Dragon Ball, though, is also getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. We have an accident reported with injuries over at West Irvington Road and South 12th Street. This is causing a lot of slowdown right now, particularly on westbound Irvington as you approach the intersection there, so do be aware of that. Also, another accident, possibly injuries over at South San Fernando and West Valencia Road. This is right in front of the Valencia Library, so do be aware of that in case you're making your way out to the Valencia Library today for any early voting and things of that nature. Right now, we're still at about 81, but we're not going to be cooling down until about 6 o'clock. Going to be 65 degrees once the sun officially sets. I'm Dragon Ball with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
The very best in play-by-play is on Tucson's best sports station, Wildcats Radio 1290. This is the home of the Wildcats and NFL play-by-play. This is the one and only Wildcats Radio 1290.
Hey, what you reading, Marty?
Just about the sheriff's race. I like Heather Lappin. She has served nearly 20 years in the sheriff's department and will decrease crime by increasing patrols.
I know Heather. She was on the news fighting for reform.
Yeah, Heather Lappin is endorsed by nearly every local law enforcement group.
What about her opponent?
Chris Nanos' office was investigated regarding a sexual assault case. Also, the misuse of funds.
Nanos sounds like bad news. I'm voting for Heather Lappin for sheriff.
Political ad paid for by Heather Lappin for sheriff.
Authorized by Heather.